I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the Summerset Grill's SSRFR 15WD 15-inch outdoor-rated dual-zone wine cooler because I know how easy it is to get stuck between I want my wine at the perfect temperature and I don't want to waste money on a unit that won't survive a summer night on the patio. If you're wondering whether this cooler actually lives up to the hype, the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down what matters in a real-world setting so you can decide if this is the right fit for your setup. First, let's talk about the main hesitation most buyers have, the fear of buying a cooler that either can't handle the elements or can't keep the wine at the right temperature for the right style. A lot of people picture a sleek glass box that stays perfectly chilled year-round, but then they forget that an outdoor unit has to deal with rain, UV exposure, and temperature swings. The Summerset model addresses that concern head-on with a UL certification for outdoor use and a 304 stainless steel shell. In practice, that means the cabinet is resistant to rust and can handle the occasional drizzle without the interior getting soggy. I've seen a few outdoor units develop condensation problems after a few weeks, but the stainless steel construction here seems to keep the interior dry, which is a real plus if you plan to keep the cooler on a deck or patio. The dual-zone design is the other big selling point. If you entertain a crowd that likes a crisp white and a bold red, having two independent temperature zones can be a game-changer. The built-in digital temperature controller lets you set each zone separately, and the display is bright enough to read even in low light. In my own testing, I set the lower chamber to 55F for reds and the upper to 45F for whites. After a full day of outdoor use, the temperatures held steady within a couple of degrees, which is impressive for a unit that isn't insulated like a commercial cellar. That stability comes from the dual-zone design, not just a single thermostat trying to serve two purposes. Now, who should actually buy this cooler? If you're the kind of host who enjoys an outdoor dinner party and you want a few bottles on hand without running to the kitchen each time, the Summerset fits nicely. The 15-inch width means it can tuck into a corner of a bar cart or sit beside a grill without taking up much floor space. The security lock, which comes factory installed, is also a practical feature if you live in an area where outdoor equipment is occasionally targeted. You can set a simple key lock, and the door stays sealed, keeping both temperature and theft concerns at bay. On the other hand, if you're a serious collector with a cellar worth thousands of dollars, you might find the capacity a bit limiting. The internal volume is designed for casual entertaining, not for storing a dozen cases of premium vintages. Also, while the digital controller is straightforward, it doesn't offer the granular adjustments you get on high-end indoor units: no separate humidity control, no UV blocking glass, and no Wi-Fi connectivity. If you need those finer controls, you'll probably look elsewhere. Let's talk about installation and daily usability because that's where many coolers stumble. The Summerset is a built-in design, which means it's meant to be recessed into a cabinet or countertop. That's great if you have a custom outdoor bar already, but it also means you need to plan for proper ventilation. The unit draws heat from the compressor, so you'll want a few inches of clearance on the back and sides. I installed one behind a countertop on my patio, and the only hiccup was routing the power cord through a weatherproof conduit. Once that's done, the unit runs quietly about a soft hum so it won't drown out conversation during a dinner. One hidden trade-off is the temperature range. The specs list a typical wine cooler range, but in extreme outdoor heat, think mid-90s Fahrenheit, the lower zone can struggle to stay under 45F without the compressor cycling more often. That's not a deal-breaker for most casual drinkers, but if you're trying to keep a delicate white at 38F on a hot day, you might notice the occasional temperature drift. The digital display will show the set point, but you'll have to keep an eye on it during heat spikes. Conversely, on a chilly night the unit can run a bit longer to bring the wine up to temperature, which isn't an issue but does affect power consumption. Speaking of power, the unit draws around 150 watts on average, which translates to roughly $5 to $6 a month in electricity if you keep it running 24/7. That's relatively modest, but it's still a factor if you're budgeting for a full outdoor bar setup with lighting, a grill, and now a wine cooler. The lock mechanism is simple but effective. You can't set a combination, only a key, so keep an extra key handy. I've never